Hey everyone, it's your girl Rose with another episode of Pursuit for Redemption. Yes, 2 videos in one day. Today I'm going to talk about dealing with the death of a loved one. After this video was 11 years ago, September 3rd, 2006 was when I lost my mom. And this September 3rd, I was like, man, I really want to make a video to encourage some people and to let them in on my experience. But I was so busy studying for the LSAT that just couldn't happen. And so I wanted to make sure that I was faithful to make this video, even though this video is hard for me to make. At 26 years old, I have dealt with the death of losing my mother at 15 and also dealt with the death of losing my brother at 23. So I've just had the opportunity for God to really grow me in suffering during those times, and I did a lot of things wrong, and I felt like I learned a lot about myself and how to deal with them in a healthy way. So I really just want to come and share my experience with you. Again, this is just my experience. So if you're someone who has dealt with the death of a close loved one and you really just want to share your thoughts, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and let's get into it. So I was not a believer at 15 when I lost my mom. I didn't become a believer until 19 and in college. And so I really just want to start this video off with some unhealthy things that I did after losing my mom at such a young age. And so everyone knows your teen years are critical for your development. That's where you begin to form your identity. That's when you begin to grow in your passions. But for me, at 15 and losing my mom, I really just decided to isolate myself. Before my mother passed, I played plenty of sports, had plenty of friends. I talked a lot to my older siblings. And after she passed, I just cut all of that off. I really went into a depression and isolation. So I chose not to tell my siblings how deeply sad I was. I chose not to have an outlet to express my emotions. So I literally moved to another state, stopped playing all my sports, and I would come home from school. I didn't make any friends my first year of school. So when I transferred schools from Illinois to Indiana, I intentionally chose not to have any friends. And I didn't try out for any sports. And so I was in high school, I would go to school, come home, do my work, and go to sleep. And while my brother, who I love so much, is a great brother, he would ask me questions, but I would never really tell him anything about how I was feeling. I would cry at night and no one would know. If people asked me how I was feeling, I would say I was okay, just so I didn't have to talk about it. With that being said, the second thing I did outside of the isolation was I stuffed all my feelings. I lied for months about how I was truly feeling. I was deeply broken and hurting over losing my mom, as anyone would be. But instead, when someone would ask me, I'd be like, I'm okay, I'm fine, no, I'm good. And emotionally, I was sinking and I was drowning in myself. And so just bottling up all my feelings and not having a way to let them out or let anyone in was something that really caused just a lot of hardship in my life. It started to make me believe that no one cared about me. And so I wasn't going to reach out because, of course, my brothers and my sisters didn't know what I was going through. And, of course, I didn't want to make any new friends because I would have to tell people the reason why I'm in this new state is because my mom died. And then people will feel sorry for me. And then I'll be the girl who everyone feels sorry for, right? I had all these irrational conclusions. But that's what the isolation and the stuffing my feelings did for me. Something that I also did was I just lost my identity. I didn't do any of the fun things that I loved. I stopped being creative. I stopped playing sports. I really just went into like a tortoise shell. That's the best way I can describe it. I just didn't do anything that was uniquely Rose. Instead, I just didn't want to be anyone. It's almost as if I didn't want to exist, but I did. And so I tried to make myself as invisible as possible. Because for me, I thought that anything that I would do would remind me of my mom, and anything that would remind me of my mom would bring me deep hurt, and I just didn't want to go through those emotions. So something else that I did when I was grieving the wrong way was I just chose to act out in negative behaviors. So from 15 to 18, I drank underage. I would go to all these parties. I had a couple of boyfriends that weren't really boyfriends, but I called them my boyfriend. Just acted out of who God would have called me to be, or who God was calling me to be. And I would say this: anytime you're grieving, anytime you're going through some period of suffering, if you have an inclination to do something that's negative, that might cause you harm, that may cause somebody else harm, just don't do it. Run from it, because that thing that you're trying to get to take away your hurt and your pain is not going to do it. And I think for me, acting out, I thought that would somehow either mask my hurt or my depression, but it only added to. So not only was I still dealing with the death of losing my mother, now I'm also dealing with the yuckiness and just the grossness of who I was, or who I was trying to be, that I was never meant to be. And so, yeah, guys, those are just some ways that I saw me handling grief the wrong way. Now, I will say this. I went off to college. I ended up coming to know the Lord through a persistent group of people. One being Sierra Sullivan, who shared the gospel with me relentlessly, and I ended up coming to Christ through my relationship with her. And then it was from there, that was when God really helped me till up all of these negative feelings and this identity crisis and this hurt and this pain I had from losing my mother at 15. So I will say the grieving process is not quick. It's not quick. And I still have moments where I miss my mama, because I do. That was my mama. I miss her. But I'm not that girl who chooses negative things to feel that emotion. Okay? And so I will say, just know that wherever you are in your grieving process, whether you just lost somebody yesterday or it's been 30 years, time heals that too. It takes time to grieve and to be healed from that pain and that hurt. And I also want to tap on, again, there's a part of my story where I did come to know the Lord, right? And so he's a big part of this. And so if you're somebody who's grieving and you don't know Christ, I'm going to put it out there that he's the only one that can redeem that hurt. He's the only one that can fill that emotional void. And he does know what suffering is. He has lost the dearest loved one. God lost his son Jesus for us, right? And so he has lost somebody too. He knows that pain, and he wants to identify with you in that pain and heal that pain for you. So I don't want to make it seem like my grieving process is outside of Christ, because really, when I was outside of Christ, my grieving process was all jacked up. There was no healthy grieving for me. It wasn't until I got in Christ where my grief was really met and redeemed, and still being redeemed. So, as I mentioned, I came to know the Lord at 19. At that age, I still struggled with grieving and missing my mom, and feeling that abandonment and just the sin that came along with grieving the wrong way. And so from 19 to 23, God really showed me what suffering well looks like. And so I met God in suffering, and he's kept me in suffering. And so in November of 2014, my second oldest brother, Kirk, was shot and killed. So yes, y'all, it's still, it's 2017, and my heart still aches that my brother's life was taken. But let me tell y'all how that worked, and I'm just going to tell y'all a bit of that story. So it was about 10 o'clock. My iPhone was on Do Not Disturb, as it is around 10. But my sister, who's in my favorites, if she calls twice in a minute or so, it rings loud. And so she called me twice, the phone rings loud. I answered the phone, and she said, Kirk has been shot. And my family's living in Illinois. I'm living in Memphis. And so I heard it, but I still was kind of like in this sleep. And I was just like, all right, let me know when he's all right. Now, I said, let me know when he's all right, because my brother had been shot before. And so I just said, let me know he's all right. I got off the phone. Now, when I hung up the phone, I woke up, and I was like, oh, shoot, he's been shot. So right when I came to my mind in that, I called one of my best friends, Star, who lives like right in the next apartment over. I called Lachelle, I called Keena, I called Penny, and I called Gail. These are people who are in Memphis who were just extremely close to me. And I called them because I didn't know what was going to happen. Immediately, Star came over. They came over. My friends just came over. And then maybe half an hour after Star came and the girls came, I got the call saying my brother had passed. And I can't express the hurt that I felt, but I remember just screaming, and I had people around me who loved me. I mean, I just screamed, y'all, and I cried, and I groaned, and it was deep, and it hurt. And my friends didn't look at me and say, it's okay. They just hugged me, and they let me let my emotions out. I specifically remember going to the shower and turning on the shower and putting my hand in the shower to see if it was real. Yeah, to just see if it was real, and it was real. And I remember my friend Lachelle, she grabbed my car keys. And I remember when she grabbed my car keys, y'all, I was like, I know she ain't grabbing my car keys thinking I'm not about to leave. Now, my friends know I'm very persistent in things, and I thought she was going to try to stop me from leaving. Now, it's almost midnight, and so, of course, I wasn't going to get on the highway that night, but I was like, why is she taking my keys? She think I'm about to try to get on the highway and be unsafe, and I'm not. And again, I'm thinking I'm having these level-headed thoughts. But she took my keys, and then I ended up crying some more. She came back about 15 minutes later, and she handed my keys, and she said, I filled your car up with gas. Because she knew the next morning I was going home to be with my daddy and my family. And she just loved me so well in that. And y'all, to this day, that is like, for me, God just loving me so well, and just wrapping his arms around me through my friends. I had Penny telling me I should go to sleep, and when I told her I didn't want to go to sleep, she was like, it's okay. But y'all, that night was hard, and I was exhausted, and my friends laid on the floor, my friends laid on the couch, my friends, there was not a moment where I woke up and nobody was around me, and I'm grateful for that. And so I say that if you're going through something, if you're grieving, call people into your life who can help you and who will be there for you. Because I think from losing my mom and then losing my brother, one big difference was that I had a great community. And I had a community of believers who wanted to show me how Christ is near to me in my time of suffering. And so I'm just so grateful for my friends. And so one big takeaway, if you're going through something right now, if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, share with your people who are close to you, because they can be there for you in a way that represents how Christ is there for you. All right, y'all, sorry for all that crying, but not really, because it's emotional and it is what it is. Next thing I would say, so I went home, started working on funeral stuff with my older sister. At the time, I was going through Memphis Teacher Residency. It's a master's in urban education program, so I knew I had to come back to Memphis to finish my master's, so there wasn't no staying home. But I came back, and I decided I wasn't going to do what I did when I lost my mom. I wasn't going to tell everybody I was okay. I wasn't going to lie. I was going to be honest with how I felt, and I did. And so I had 5 people. Just 5. I'm not saying do this with everybody. I had 5 people who, when they would ask me how I was doing, I would be completely honest. Those 5 people. So now I went back to work. I teach, and so I went back to work, and so my coworkers like, how are you? I'm like, I'm cool. I'm okay. But there were 5 people who at any point in time where they asked me how I was doing, I would honestly tell them. So when Gail would call me and she would be like, how are you? I would be like, Gail, I'm sinking. and it hurts and I'm tired and I don't want to do this. And then she would come over or she would encourage me in some way. Again, there was 5 people I was honest with. If you're the type of person who wants to tell everybody how you're feeling and be honest, that's fine. And I'm not saying lie to people either. I'm just saying it's so hard to be honest without being emotional. And so for me, I was like, well, I lie to everybody at school. I lie to everybody at school and say I'm okay. But there's somebody who's going to really know what's going on with me. And I had 5 people who really always knew what was going on with me. Another healthy thing that I did that I would advocate for is counseling. And I went to Christian counseling. I'm grateful for my counseling time. And I really advocate for that because the mind can trap you. The mind can hurt you. Your mind can take you places that you don't want to go. And Satan really attacked my mind during that time, y'all. I had a fear of losing all my family members. And I was so scared that my dad was going to die next. I was so scared that my sister was going to die next. And I needed to process with that through somebody who went to school and who had a degree and who could tell me healthy methods, but also come from a biblical worldview. And that was important to me. I just didn't want somebody to tell me what was going to feel good. I wanted somebody to tell me the things that I could put in action that can help me. Also, but also give me scripture and point me to Christ and remind me of biblical truth. And so I'm a big advocate of counseling. I'm a big advocate of Christian counseling, and that really helped me. One thing that I did with my therapist was write a letter to my brother who I unexpectedly lost. And in that letter, it was just so freeing for me because I could tell him how much I loved him. I could tell him just how much I missed him. And that was so real and freeing to me. Something else my therapist did was gave me a sheet of emotions, and just to help me start processing how I felt, and I would be able to use those words tied to those specific words, emotion words when I'm describing how I felt. So I wouldn't just say I'm sad, but I would say I'm angry, you know, and I could kind of express those. I kind of had words for what I was feeling, is what I'm trying to say, y'all. And so I went to Christian counseling. I also talked to my siblings a lot. Me and my siblings really dealt with the death of our brother together. I felt like losing my mom at such a young age. My siblings most of them are all older than me. I only have one little brother who's younger than me. And so I felt like losing my mom at a young age, I really didn't identify with them. But when we lost our brother, we were all grown. And so we all talked a lot. We were all just honest about how we felt. We encouraged each other. We loved on each other. Still to this day, we encourage each other. We loved on each other. And so I felt like for me, my family being in that grieving process was so huge for me. And so lastly, y'all, I just want to say one major thing I did was press into Christ. I didn't run from him. I truly believe God knows every ounce of suffering that we will experience. Not just that he knows it like he has the knowledge of it, but he knows it like he feels it and he felt it. And I do believe that. And so me believing that God himself knows how it is to have his son murdered was real to me. And I would go to God and I would express my anger and I would express my hurt. And God really helped me process through wanting justice and wanting, but all these things, God really helped me process through that, y'all. And so I will say God is very near to us in our suffering. He's sovereign over it. So one thing that I didn't like that people would do, and I'm just going to be real, people would be like, you know, God's will, God's will. Let me tell y'all something. It was not God's will for my brother to be murdered. Okay? So I'm going to put that out there. It wasn't God's will. So sometimes we try to Jesus juke people and encourage people, and we're really doing harmful things. So please don't say that to people who lost somebody tragically or unexpectedly, because that might hurt them. But what someone did say to me, someone looked me in my face and said, it wasn't God's will for your brother's life to be taken, but God is sovereign even over your brother's life being taken. And so the sovereignty of God became big to me. that it might not be his will for these things to happen, but he will use all of these things for our good and for his purposes and for his plan. And so I will just say, just trust God's sovereignty wherever you are at in that. So yeah, y'all, grief is hard. Dealing with the loss of a loved one is hard. But I just want to encourage y'all to really draw near to God. Get in a Christian community of people who can pull you out and people who can really show you the love of Christ. Try counseling. Try Christian counseling if you haven't gone that far yet. And include your family. Be honest with how you're feeling, whether that's you just having one person you're honest with or you had 5 like I have. There needs to be somebody who you see and who sees you that can know how you're doing during this hard time. And so please know that I don't think I have all the answers, because I don't. I'm still dealing with losing people and losing people who are close to me. I'm still asking God to heal the land of my heart, right? But I'm not just hoping it happen. I know it's going to happen because I'm pursuing the things that he's going to use to heal me. So yeah, y'all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pursuit for Redemption. I really hope this video helps somebody who is going through the grieving process. So please share with your friends and your family and people that you know who are currently struggling with suffering. Please encourage them. Please be like my friends and love them well. Whatever it is, y'all. But let me know what you think about this video. Thumbs up it. Subscribe. Make sure y'all subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers soon, y'all. And I know y'all are watching my videos, but I need y'all to hit that subscribe button, and I need y'all to share with other people who would like to subscribe. I told y'all I'm going to keep doing this as long as I have 1 subscriber. So it's not about the numbers, but the numbers let me know that many people are being reached with these videos. And so it's my goal that many people will see these videos and be encouraged and inspired by them. And I need y'all help to do that. So until next time, it's your girl Rose from Pursuit for Redemption.